afternoon, SquiderDragon again with the next in the series of Historic Best of 3. As promised again from last week, we're going to be running a Gruul Adventures deck, so I will continue with the previous format of running through the deck, both the main deck, which is a typical Gruul Adventure deck of old. The sideboard with this particular one is a little bit different. I couldn't remember what I'd done with the sideboard, but rather than trying to do anything or change anything, I realised in effect, which you'll see when we get to the actual intro as part of the main episode, you'll see the deck and you'll see the sideboard. But in short, in advance of that preview, I'm really just trying to turn the deck into pretty much a pure burn to face kind of deck as an alternative. So again, maybe the intention behind that is that the Gruul Adventures, which has a lot of very, very good cards, can be very fast. Not quite as fast as some of the Boros or aggros that you see, but it's fast enough and some good cards. Otherwise, when we sideboard, I'll just try and maybe completely transform the deck. You tend to have a limited amount of time, so the idea of the sideboard would be, rather than trying to cherry pick, which might still be the right thing to do, but in the absence of time, with the time that you're given to do the sideboarding, I may just elect, if that seems convenient for the matchup, just to completely transform it and take practically the whole sideboard into the main deck, and just make sure I've got enough time to swap out to get us back to a 60 pile. The other things to say, just as an aside, with my standard journey, I did build another standard deck, and that managed to get me, after a little bit of time, but not as long as I thought it might do, managed to get me to platinum, which I think is a pretty good place to be. But of course, when you hit platinum, it tends to get very grindy. It's win one to try and progress. Bungo is a lot more difficult. You've got to win consistently, and if you can win a match, but then you end up just, if you lose the next match, you're standing still. So I think once you get to platinum, and even like some of the videos I see, like when Covert's playing, I'm interested to see where he is. And then obviously he ultimately is going to get himself back to Mythic, but current video he was showing, he's at platinum. So again, I know he's expressed that some of his consternations of just what happens with, I don't know if he's commenting about standard, whether the standard remains the same, because the standard has obviously changed with the advent of foundations, and I did manage to build, which again was a surprise, but it's because I put together quite a lot of 90 packs, as I said in the beginning, but I did manage to get very close to building what was one of his decks. Again, I think he was making the point, because the standards for the next 5 years in foundation, so you feel less unhappy, if that's a better word, of trying to craft or come up with a deck that is going to last a while. So I think that the deck he was showcasing was a Cats deck, and when I copied and built that, there was only there were cards missing, but I just ended up crafting, because I didn't use all my goals. I'm still sitting at about 30,000, I think. So I think I crafted a few more packs just to get some of the missing rares I had. And long story short, I've got to the Covert's Cat standard deck, which I tried playing a few times, quite like it. But again, being in platinum, all I found was it can win, but I think I had mana issues with one match, and then it's typically you tend to find it's back Magic's always really been about the mana, so I probably need to get used to playing that deck a bit more, because I do like it. I think he's built it pretty well. It can be quite fast. It can, it's got the lords and the claws out, and I can get OP, because claws out just gets cheaper as well with the more cats. So if you have the mana and that, but I think the matches where I was doing quite well, and your 3 mana, it's like fine and everything was working, whereas I think I played another game and just got stuck in 2 mana. Like 4 or 5 turns into it, you're stuck in 2 mana. So it's the same old, same old. So without further ado, I'll get on with our historic match with our best of 3. And then, as ever, thanks for watching. Hope everyone's well. So, as I said, we are doing the next in the best of 3. I think this might be week 8. So the 8th video, if I'm not mistaken. This shows the list of decks, just sort of general, not organized. You can see a couple of decks I've built. One that I've never just got around to playing, oddly enough, is I also built LVD's cat food deck, because I think not a player I got into, but I know Nighthawk was a very keen on the what they call the aristocratic decks, and LVD build of cat food was a very good example of that. Can do very well, but I've just built the thing knowing that I had the cards for it, which is pretty good, but just never got around to playing it. So what I want to do is to try and pull up my Gruul Adventures, which you can see here. We'll go in to look at it first of all, so you can see what the deck's about. If I can, usual, I'm in OBS rather than being in the client, so let me just switch that. Okay, yeah, sorry, I wonder why it looks a bit funny. Yeah, because I like OBS, I just like make sure that I'm recording, so I can stick on with the OBS screen for a while. And then, so Gruul Adventures is the deck. Let's have a quick look. The main deck is a typical Gruul Adventure deck, so 4 Innkeepers, 4 Goose for the mana, 3 Lotus Cobra, again, mana, landfall, removal, ram through. We tend to get fairly big creatures early, Lovestruck Beast being a good example, coming out for 3, but of course with the negative that it's got to have the 1/1, but we run enough 1/1s. Our Bone Crusher Giant, again, typical Gruul Adventure. Questing Beast, which can come out pretty fast, and obviously if it's small weenie decks, it can basically match that. Even against bigger decks, the Death Touch tends to do quite well, and I've explored Death Touch in other videos, so you get an idea of what that does. At the top end, some of the big game finishers. We got the Elder Gargaroth, which is just because of the value it has in terms of being able to keep life or put threats. Terror of the Peaks, of course, to come out flying, and then with additional casts of things that we might come out. And again, because we're Gruul, another one. So the main deck tends to be pretty good. And finally, the good old favourite finisher of Embercleave, which again can end up coming up fairly fast depending what else is what's going on with the red mana that we're casting, particularly with the Goldspan dragons, etc, etc. The land here, 4 Fabled Passage, just to make sure that we've got our red green. Doesn't tend to be a problem, and it can be quite useful. And obviously with the Lotus Cobra, landfall can give us two additional mana of any color, which can be pretty useful. As I said in the brief intro, my sideboard, as you can see, is pretty much transformation into a burn deck. So Dragon's Fire, Dragon's Fire, Dragon's Fire, Scorching Missile, Fiery Impulse, and Fable the Mirror Breaker. So that's on the occasions of really just trying to turn this thing around and just turn it into a pure burn deck. So it depends. If the Gruul Adventures isn't doing that well, I mean, in terms of this is just changing the strategy to try and turn it into a pure burn. It's probably not built out. The sideboard's probably not completely built out to match that ambition, but that's the idea, I think. So that's our deck. So let's get on with our matches. Again, normal format. Last week was pretty disappointing because we had 0 wins, but it was a kind of deck that I had suggested was being built to beat what was the main historic decks that were going around, to try and prey on them. But of course, I think the intention of that deck from the previous week was to just go for hand hate, to try and empty the hand, and that didn't prove to be very successful at all last week. So hopefully we have a better luck with this, a little bit more traditional in terms of the way the main deck's built. I think in the past, when I've done pretty well, or at least got to a 1 versus 1, one game to one match to each, I don't think I've ever had an episode where I've had 2 match wins, or I might have done in the very early days. But I think if I'm coming quite happy with both the video and the results of spending the time just doing the recording and playing at all. If I go into historic and I come out with an equal record of winning 1 match and losing 1 match, as long as the matches are good and you enjoy the content. So without further ado, let's line up the best of 3 match. So we'll go to home. I was also have been seeing, you can play here, Jumpstart. Finding that's quite fun. I mean, it's quite cheap to get into. It's another mode I used to complain about, but it's like 1,000, you know, because you can see my mana is obviously building up again. Sorry, my gold is building up again. So paying £1,000 to have some variety with Jumpstart seems fine, but I want to be going in with what do we want? We want play, and we want historic play. Not going to go on the ladder, and we want our best of 3. So the deck is, make sure I play the right deck. That would be another mistake. Gruul Adventures, so line that up. So that's Gruul Adventures teed up in historic best of 3, and this is the first match. So as ever, hoping for a decent hand so that we don't have to mulligan or play around. We can get started. Tends to be pretty good with this deck, but the more I play historic, you get used to when you need to mulligan. Very good mana. The mana is really good. We've got the Lovestruck Beast. We'll get the token out. We've got the Goose for mana, so that's definitely a keep for us. I'll get the Goose out first. And here's Champion of the Parish, which is like fine. So the Goose, quite good as an early play in terms of getting the right mana, but it also, as you can see, reasonable protection on toughen 0-2. So it looks as if we've got quite a fast deck, so he's just going to leave it there. I've got the passage which I don't have to worry about for now because our mana's pretty decent. So I will bring out our Beast. And no attack. Of course, we're leaving the Gilded Goose for defence. Cold Steel Heart. He's choosing black is for its removal. So we expect this to be removed, but we have questing beast with our mana. So because it's got 1/1, so this is an advantage of having the questing beast. We can do an auto pay and get in with the beast straight to the chops. And it's got vigilance, of course. Pass the turn, and then we'll bring the beast out. Replicating ring. Not sure the idea is here. Death Baron. Death Touch. Okay, choosing that to pump up seems fair enough. Oops, misclick. Another goose. I'll stick it to him just to remove the Death Toucher. Yeah, that's fair enough. It gets rid of one arm. Embercleave. Let's passage. Let's get our second red. And let's dragon. And attack with a dragon. End the turn. And Embercleave with the dragon next turn. Hopefully to win. Craft Harvest. Pass. Happy to trade. Oh, insufficient. That's fine. The 1/1 can go. Pass. My turn. Attach Embercleave. Also pay. To the dragon. Attack. Pass the turn. Oh, let's get our mana out. Oh, we can bring our second dragon. I probably should have done that and probably would have won this turn, but attacking is getting us the. There seems to be nowhere for him to go. I would suggest. He's equipping. Don't see that making any sort of difference. No blocks. He's saving the game. Let's finish it off. Now the question is, with these cheap creatures, it's not going to be a complete build, but presumably putting some removal in, even for the barons, for example. So, and the thing is, what do we sacrifice? I could sacrifice our removal, possibly, but there's that mistake. Not the questing beads, because they work quite well. Let's sacrifice our top end, because I think it's less relevant. So what are we on? 61. One more shave. I'll shave. I don't want to cut down on our mana necessarily. I'll shave. Take one of the ram throughs. Done. So we'll see how this game 2 goes. I thought this would be a better deck. Okay. Starting mana. We will keep because why? Because we have the removal. We've got questing beast, which is quite nice. We've got fabled passage to give us red, so I will keep. Might be a bit risky, and we've got another, so let's just get our red online. Cool. Start the adventures. Replicating ring, which we saw before. Let's get our beast. A backup, and we won't use Bone Crusher yet. We'll keep that back for any 1/1s that he might bring out, and then we can convert that into our 4/3. Okay, he's going for his token theme again. So let's put fast clock on him with the beast. We get a second beast backup, which yeah, we can create a backup 1/1. We can attack, and this is typically what the adventure side of the deck's designed to do, which tends to be pretty fast out the gate. And I've got my beast with Death Baron. He's going to cut it. Yeah, he's got the 3/3, Lord of the Accursed. These are now being pumped up to the extent of that. So let's do something like that. And we'll line up our red mana for the burns. And we will go creature or planeswalker. It's not going to make a difference. So we're going to, no, cancel that. I'm going to hold on to that and then use it to kill one of the tougher creatures. So no attacks for now. End the turn. I'll rely on the dragon like we had before, getting us to the win. Cold Steel comes out. Blue. Could be running some clown spells. These creatures now get very big. Too very big. No, don't do that. Oh, it's doing it anyway. My turn. Dragon. Good pace. Auto pay. Menace. Oh, that was the intention. Oh, he did it. Right, so we are going to the decider. Yeah, I'm going to have to hope that I can, let's just see, how can I race target creature? With the way he's pumping up, that's not going to work. Create a shaman with token you may discard. I'm not sure here what the right play is. I think I need to keep the deck as it is and see. That might be a mistake because he's obviously sideboarded well enough. The problem with my burn is it, mind you, creature. I think I'm going to try this again. It's probably a mistake. Probably a mistake. But we'll see. But certainly that was and I will play first. We'll keep that. And get my love beast, and hopefully the ramp through can kill what he comes up with. And again, is he going to be fast enough? Okay, let's get our backup 1-1 online and attack. Mana black, of course. Beast for us. Wait, hang on. Let's get the mana first. Attack. That's perfect. Goodbye. Let's line up more mana. Attack in. Beast should finish the job, I think, because it's got haste. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work, son. Oh, yeah, Cobra. Second Cobra. Attack with all. And the game should be a good one, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Getting a bit of defence up, but it's not going to help him, I don't think. Bone Crusher can finish it. Good game. So that was the first one. At least we got our first one in. I like the deck. It's been around for a while. It's just, as I said back to the beginning when I started this series, I have had these decks some time back when things were more normal, I guess, in Magic Arena, certainly without a lot of the recent sets that have been released. They've just been off what's the right expression? Off colour, not off colour, off theme, probably is a better way to express it. Yeah, so I know they were trying to hit, well, you never really know with Wizards who they're trying to hit, other than keeping the shareholders happy, which is biggest thing. And I saw an interesting, probably the historian, because I watch him a lot. I find his interesting as some of his facts about, he keeps tabs on the sort of more newsworthy stuff going on, particularly with the lawsuits and his view of the mistakes that Wizards make. And I think his latest thing is going on about how when we think about Hasbro really just having to satisfy the shareholders, I mean, it's forgetting that a lot of these are institutional investors for pension funds, etc., which presumably have pretty ruthless characters that are pretty merciless and are pressing them to deliver the goods, and that's what's put them in this bit of a predicament, rather than just the early origins of even Wizards of the Coast. I don't know, maybe from the early days, but Hasbro has been the issue with the acquisition. I think, obviously acquired Wizards of the Coast, and I think that in itself, as much as Hasbro has the money, it's a big corporate, that I think created part of the demise of what we're seeing, or the path towards demise, with just the constant focus on Hasbro being such a corporate giant, which has been suffering in fairness, and I think suffering has harmed the various brands that people have enjoyed playing, like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, just because of the need to satisfy shareholders. And that's really where it's come from. That's just my little take on it, but people have, like the Magic historian, do a better exposition of that. But without further ado, let's get our second match lined up, and hopefully the end a better end to this episode from the 0-0 loss from last time. So we'll do our claim and then we'll get on to the next match. But yeah, I think for this deck, which I'd promised last week, I'm pleased I stuck with it rather than going for something else. When I had a quick look at it to remind myself, it kind of reminded me how good on paper the build is. So it's fairly, nothing really fancy in terms of the way I built it, although you can build these decks any number of different ways, but it tends to be fast enough. It tends to get fast stuff out. Questing beats are, I think, pretty key to some of the wins, particularly in more traditional matches. Best of three is a bit different. We've got our we don't really have, we got the Gargaroths, which are handy because with the Lotus Cobra we could get those online pretty quick, so I'm going to keep it for that reason. Let's see. No, I won't use passage yet until the Cobra's online. And let's Cobra online. And then this means we should get an early Gargaroth because of, yeah. The Omen, interesting card. So let's do this the right way. If I go green and ask for another green, and then I'm not using that though, am I? That's a mistake. Never mind. Next turn should be ours. Ah, yeah. Passage is the play. To give us a green. And then sack it. green. Gargaroth. Hello. And we will create our 1-1 for the 5-5. Heisting are trying to use things from the library to fight back with. Oh, how much? Supreme Verdict, okay. That type of deck. So we'll go in with our hasty. Twice, so he's heisting twice. What does he get? Goose. Goose won't help him, unfortunately. Another Gargaroth is in order. And defend that. Does the other not have another board wipe? Possibly. But then we've got our beast for backup. And removal. So I think people are maybe playing Historic are not used to necessarily always. Oh, so yeah, okay, so he's heisted his own beast. But he's going to have to, oh, of course. Ah, Embercleave. Let's do this properly. Ram through to his beast. Goodbye. And bring out the 5-5. Bring out the goose. And attack. And we'll create a beast. Orbit over. Oh, verdict again. Fair enough. I just need a creature. That should be golden. Oh, of course he's heisted, but I need to remember that he's heisted the library. It's lost. Right, so I think we need to go a different direction. The heisting is the issue, really. The heisting is the issue. So, I don't have anything that would necessarily stop that. So, do I? He's not really playing creatures, he's just relying on the heisting, so I think we should go again, make no changes. This is board wipes that are the issue, but people can't really counter for that, so let's play first. Keep 7. We like the Cobra. We'll get our dragon online. We'll get the Edgekeeper out. We'll need to hold creatures back for the board wipes. Hello Cobra, welcome to the party. Edgekeeper will go and visit and say hello. Okay, right now, so for now, the beast. Red. Our dragon. Attack. Yeah, verdict again, fine. it lands and of course take the beast out. Yeah, heisting, no defense against a heist. At least this time it was one match each. Yeah, the issue there obviously with the heisting is it saved him, he's built the desk around the heist, which is quite clever against this particular deck, because obviously he heists, because he's heisting twice. As I said, the deck is pretty good, so if you're going into that deck like twice, you're pretty much going to end up with the tool that you need to turn it around. Anyway, I'll do another outro as usual, but hope you enjoyed these matches a little bit better. The first one was interesting, at least it was a little bit of to and fro. The second one, yeah, you could see turning the deck round if it hadn't been for the heisting, but of course this is why I in some ways enjoy playing Historic. I'd never be able to replicate that, or i.e. come up with the right build for a heist deck, but clearly because there's a lot of variety in best of 3 Historic, that's the type of deck that you can come up against, which is quite interesting. So again, I find it's playing as much as you enjoy playing the game, and I do enjoy it. Not so much last week, as I said, because my idea with the deck, which was really designed and built out of frustration as much as anything, and I guess maybe building decks out of frustration is not the best way to build decks. Maybe that might be a takeaway lesson in general. Okay, I'll thanks for watching again, but I'll close out as usual with some thoughts on the outro. SquiderDragon. So here's my outro again. I enjoyed the matches this week more than I did last week, at least because showing what I think is, particularly if I run that deck in best of 1, it's a very good deck. Gruul Adventures was back in the day, and it was running pretty well this time round on both matches. The first match was quite a good match for us because he was bringing Death Touch and Lords, and I think we were a match for that, although the second game, what closed the second game out was obviously having the air power and the dragons, so that's why the build's quite good. I mean, the Gargoyles are quite good as well when they come out. Yeah, the heist deck using Supreme Verdict, obviously he's probably running multiple of those, so I was probably aware about not too much, which and then of course when he had the first board wipe and I bought the 2 Lotus of Cobras out, at least he found defense for that, the 2 3s, and then ultimately he ended up heisting to steal cards out of our deck, and of course he heisting you heist twice, and I think that was like double, so you know, heisting 4 cards out, I don't know, I'm not quite sure how that works, whether it's done randomly, but as I said, the deck, I mean, presumably if you heist, you could heist land, which wouldn't work out, but I don't know enough about that card, to be fair. But yeah, as I said, I'm happier when I showcase some good matches, which I think they were worth the watch, and as is normal or preferable, I guess. I mean, again, if I don't necessarily need to go and win 2 matches in best of 0, and you probably, those of you who do play, or if you've ever played best of 3 historic, you probably realise that's probably fairly unlikely, just because of the variety of decks you've got out there. So I think if I hold my own, which I did this time round again, 1-1 in matches, that's a decent result. Again, I hope you are continuing to enjoy this series. I'll keep them going. I think it just gives me something to do. It's a little routine for me to share time with you, and as well as I'll probably start spending, I'm going to continue because it just spends a nice or pleasant afternoons, Sunday afternoon for me, just doing these recordings, and then take a bit of time to sort of come out in that, but I can just stop now and I can do some other things. And my wife normally visits her mother-in-law, so in the Sanderson family we normally have a traditional Sunday roast, and my mother-in-law doesn't live with us. She lives, sadly, she was widowed many years ago, and then she had a good partner that they were like common law husband and wife, and basically pretty close, but she lost him fairly recently in the past sort of 3 or 4 years. So Lynn spends a lot of her time, as you might imagine, with her mum to keep her company, rattling around in the bungalow as she does, and it's a tradition for her to take meals to her Meals and Wheels that she'll normally cook meals in the week, slow cooker meals, and she'll cook a portion for Jean. So she's normally giving Jean, her mother, my mother-in-law, Meals and Wheels maybe 2 or 3 times a week. It's not all the time, but when anytime she does a slow cooker meal, she'll do a portion for her mum, and then she's always traditionally done her a portion of the Sunday roast. So Lynn goes to see her mum, and then we are evening activity for those that are interested. And of course it's a very much a UK thing, but we're fans of quite a lot of the BBC programmes, and I actually work for the BBC myself, although I'm not doing content, I'm in the IT side. But I work, I'm a permanent employee for the BBC, working in their TMO, media operations. I think it's TMO is the actual division I work for. It used to be D&E, Design and Engineering, but they changed it. So that's it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this again as usual. And next week, I normally showcase, it'll be another one of the decks. What I might try, haven't really thought about what I'll play for the next week to leave a sort of teaser for next week coming, but it'll be another one. What I will promise, it'll be another one of my what was historic decks. So there are a few candidates in there, and I'll try and pull up something that I think that, again, seeing the historic builds, I mean, this is a nice return to the adventures from Eldraine, so I'll maybe try and find another deck, and it will be one of my original kind of builds. I'll need to just check if it's got a sideboard, and if not, I can build that out. But then if I do that, I'll do a similar thing and just run an intro of the deck, what the deck's doing, and my decisions around the sideboard. Sideboard, just to finish off, sideboard this time I don't think really helped. So again, as I said, I put that together just to sort of turn it into burn, but then as I play, most of these times I'll never probably face that type of deck again. So as much as I might change the sideboard or try and craft for these heist decks effectively, but that would probably be a different deck. Anyway, that's enough for now. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays wherever you are, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye, SquiderDragon.